I guess we are logged in. So, hello everyone. We are on day three, the final day of TestMU conference, and we have got another great session lined up for you. I am Salman, Senior Product Marketing Manager at TestMU AI, and I will be your host for this session. Today, we are joined by Athresh Guruprakash, Senior Manager of Engineering at Equifax. Athresh brings 18 plus years of experience across software engineering, AI, and machine learning, with a focus on LLM testing, AI driven engineering, and responsible AI. In this session, he will compare legacy and autonomous QA and how AI can handle test failures, how self healing works, and what this could mean for the future of QA. So, during this session, if something catches your attention, feel free to share it on LinkedIn and X. You can tag TestMU AI and use the hashtag TestMUCon. So, Athresh, over to you.
Hey, hi,
Hi.
everyone. Welcome to TestMU conference. I'm so excited that I'm being able to interact with all of you, having this amazing workshop. I have two laptops here. I'm trying to look at one screen, and then I'm trying to talk to all of you. So, in case if I'm looking at the other screen, please bear with me. Let me share my screen, and then we'll get started. All right. Raise your hand if this ever happened to you. You spend the entire day coding and then creating the test suite. You make sure everything is running correctly and then you leave for the day. Next day morning, you come in, you grab your coffee, you try to trigger that pipeline, and then you see every single test case failing. Has this ever happened to you? And then you start thinking, why did it happen? Did the application break? Did the DB crash? What just happened here? When you go through the logs and then when you test it, you come to know that a single, probably a locator was moved or a CSS was updated and it hampered every single test case. The application works correctly when you see it, when you go through the flow, but still your test case, your test suite, everything is broken. So instead of building new test case, a new test suite, trying to identify the bug, your entire morning goes into digital babysitting and clearing all of these issues, and then you start building the locators all over again. If you have lost the entire morning due to a false positive test, you found out everything but the actual defect, you're in this right room. My name is Athresh. I'm a senior manager at Equifax with 18 years of experience. I've worked with QA engineers, I've led QA teams, and I'm a development and QA manager currently at Equifax. So I've seen how we have progressed from being a QA tester, being a AI native, full stack engineers. So you can handle every single thing as of now. Welcome aboard. Let's go. There are four rules here. This isn't a lecture. Follow along, react, ask questions, keep your phone around. Towards the end of the session, we are going to have a live poll. I'm going to share the link. That way, all of you can start engaging with the actual workshop. This is more an interactive and intuitive workshop where we are trying to handle it even on the virtual space. We will make sure that it is as engaging as possible. So there are no wrong answers here. Anything, anytime, if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'm on the slideshow page, but I can still switch tabs and then figure out if we have to answer or take any questions that you may have. Let's go. Spot the flaky test. Here is the real execution log. Element not interactable exception. A checkout button that isn't clickable. This isn't a broken XPath, or is it a dynamic DOM re-render, or an unhandled timing delay? Take a second, form your own guesses. I'm going to ask not to commit the code here, but we are going to come back to this very question. What do you think could have happened here? There you go. This is a real world problem. An unhandled timing failure 58% of the time it's giving based on the timing issues. A micro animation script that never waited for. And here is why that's getting bigger than the actual bug. 58% of all test failures are because of this timing and locator issues combined. And 40% of the typical QA team's budget goes into maintaining exactly this category of problem. It's not a tooling gap, that's the line item. Let's see what is actually replacing this. All right. I know when I say this, it might be a little more controversial. We all love Selenium. I know this is the undisputed king of all times. We have been living with Selenium era, and it's probably going to continue for the next 10 years. But over the decade, Selenium paired with the page object model has been the undisputed king, as I already called it out. In 2026, 65% of the organizations still use Selenium and are maintaining legacy Selenium suites. But Playwright and the newer frameworks are catching up. If you look at the stats here, more than 200% year over year, the Playwright and the other set of frameworks have actually taken a hit when compared to Selenium. Why do you think this is changed? And why do you think this is actually shifting? Selenium drives the browser based on an external HTTP wrapper. Playwright talks to you, the browser, directly. So there is no native auto waiting, no guest sleeps. Selenium isn't just dying. It's just we are progressing in a way where it is rescoping the legacy maintenance, and also the bulky framework is going into a lighter weighted framework. Is totally Selenium dying? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to die. It's going to probably continue for the next 10 years, as I said. Here is where it actually takes a backseat. For the legacy framework and your regression suite, I would still continue with Selenium because you don't want to move the entire framework into a new framework just because something is cool. But as you build new features, as you come up with new NPIs, new products, new features, anything that goes into it is probably going to go into a Playwright or a newer framework like GenAI or Cypress for that matter. But your existing baseline can continue to stay in Selenium while the new features are staggered into migration. That wave is probably what we are going to look at the trend. And let's ask this question. If you are starting a new framework tomorrow, what framework would you choose? Would you choose still Selenium? Would you choose Playwright? Would you choose Cypress? Or would you also consider an AI native platform like GenAI? Hold on, I think let's wait for the answer. There is a bigger game that we are going to play at the end, but we'll see what is actually shifting. Round two. This is what I wanted to cover when the baseline framework, what we call as the Cucumber BDD, behavior driven development framework, and when you compare that with the Gen AI, how it has evolved over time. Cucumber, I think everybody has probably seen and worked with the Cucumber behavior driven development framework. This is a collaboration between a product owner, between a tester, between a developer, and QA team, no matter what, even the business sometimes. All of them, they start collaborating and they come up with something called as a feature file. So your given when then scenario becomes the actual test case in a feature file format. Once the feature file is written, you would then start writing the step definitions for each of those line items. Once the step definition is created, depending on the model that you want to choose, let's say you want to go with the page object model, you start writing the page object model with a landing page, with a home page, with a checkout page. You can have many number of pages. This framework has always worked. I'm not saying that this is something that is going away or this is something that is not good. It's a very, very good framework that has proven time after time. But the shift is coming. Let's be honest. We all have to adopt, we all have to change, and the shift is here. And we are in this journey where how the shift is being done and how we all evolve and adopt the time is what it actually matters. Cucumber let the business analysts and the testers collaborate with the syntax. Genuinely a value add for the alignment, but maintaining the step definition in today's world is becoming a tech debt. We should not be denying it. And if there is a change, we always have to go back to the step definition. We have to update it. We have to probably sync it with Jira, sync it with Confluence. It's increasing day by day, and the budget that is allocated to even maintain the framework is actually enormous. So if you're instead of maintaining the legacy way, if we are going to a platform like KNAI, it will let the prompt take the entire end-to-end user journey in plain English, and it will get back the resilience wrapped test code. 89%, keep this in mind, 89% of the enterprise teams are piloting GenAI, and only 37% of them are actually able to do it in production. So where is the gap? Are they not able to understand, and are they not able to evolve? It could be both, it could be a combination, and we will try to find out why the shift is happening, and is it a good thing or is it a bad thing. We all know that Cucumber BDD has evolved, and it has proved to be the framework, the go-to framework that we all want to do. But tools like KNAI or any agentic framework that we want to go into gives you the flexibility where a prompt can flourish into the end-to-end test journey in pure plain English form. And it also tries to auto heal, and there are many features that we will try to explore it later. But I want to pause here and then just see if there are any questions until now, and then let me shift my tab so that I know if there is a question. If not, we'll probably continue. Okay, I think we should be able to continue. What actually changed here? Is it the tools? Is it the infrastructure? It's actually the architecture. The legacy pipeline is so linear. The requirement, feature file, page object model, driver, static report, it's all glued together. We all know you start writing the test case in the feature file format, then you write the step definition, page object model, you glue it all together in the runner file, execute that in the local, your local, everything works fine. Then you set up the pipeline on Jenkins or GitHub Actions, and then it's all linear. And then you probably run it on a platform like TestMu or Browser Stack or anything for that matter. This is completely linear, and we know this has to evolve over time. And I think we are at a stage where the foundation is set, and how we leverage the foundation to move across is actually the critical piece. Let's go to the next steps. As I said, this all of these stages are linear. Every layer is very deterministic, and if a layer breaks, it would impact the entire journey. So you could still replay a few things on the linear fashion as well, but still it's time consuming, it's cumbersome, and it's also bulky. The modern architecture wraps the adaptive layer, the AI test selection, self-healing resolvers, live risk analytics, and there are many features that the modern framework is able to do on top of the foundation that we have already set. Now that we know what has actually worked and how it can evolve, I think we should be able to adopt all of these on the GenAI platform so that this can be better adopted on the enterprise scale. Let's go. This next step, self-healing. This word we have heard over time. What is self-healing, and what are the aspects in the modern day today? Let's take an example. A e-commerce checkout button class changes from a stable name to a dynamic CSS hash on deploy. Everything looks the same. The application behaves the same. Human can never catch this. Exact same text, exact same position, same color. And it's very, very difficult for someone to identify it. But your test case that you have written would definitely fail because you're trying to locate something which is not there today, right? This is what would be solved on the AI observability layer. Instead of the legacy script, which breaks immediately, the AI observability layer catches it and then it tries to auto heal on its own. Let's see the next steps. Self healing isn't just magic, this is three measurable layers. A selector healing about 28% of the failures using multi attribute weighted scoring, timing healing, the largest slice, 30%. Analyzing network traces, your mutation, adjust to weight states, and the runtime healing. The smallest and the hardest, 8%. But this 8% is the trickiest because it's during the runtime. And these are unhandled exceptions that pop up in the state that you are not able to handle it. There are many things that we try to do with actions and with many built-in features that Selenium provide, but still the AI with the auto healing capacity can do much better when compared to the legacy framework. All right, let's go to the next step where we can see where you can actually run all of this. As I said, test mu, uh, also formerly called as Lambda test, as we all know, they have their own AI native specialist platform, 𝐀𝐭𝐤 Agentic authoring. It's completely agentic with prompt engineering. You're able to automate end to end with multiple browsers, multiple stacks. I want to test this particular feature on this browser, this stack, this device, any combination that you want to do. They have the complete AI native platform that is already established for the team. There are other tools that are available like Browser Stack, AWS Device Farm, Firebase, Azure App Testing. These are all the cloud-based testing that you could actually leverage, and you can run your tests on that particular specialist platform. This also does the hyper execution, wherein the browser is instantaneously launched, and then you're able to scale and you're able to also make sure that you're able to watch it live and then see if something is going wrong or how it's able to auto heal on its own. Okay, let's go to the next one. I want to take a pause and see if there are any questions so far. Okay, I think we should be able to proceed. All right. So now that we know how it has evolved from Selenium to Agentic AI, what is the production gap? If tooling can heal itself, prioritize itself, write itself, remember the 89% piloting only 37% in production, what still actually that you are able to do that the AI is not able to do? Are they hallucination, governance, or are there anything else that the agent cannot do that the human has to fix and be the middleman in the picture? An agent can confidently code and draft what we actually want using the prompt, but it can go horribly wrong as well. That is where the human in loop command comes in. You try to do the prompt engineering with respect to this is my prompt, this is the test generation that I want to do, but ultimately you need to be part of this whole framework. That is where the QA owner, the QA architect comes into picture. Every single time the AI generates something with the code, we have also seen that how the development teams are leveraging AI day by day. It is increasing, and it is also increasing the possibility of introducing the bug, which was never there in the picture, because they are not able to understand how the code was generated and is the code right. They were all in the mode where we have to ship at 20x, we have to ship at 50x, we want to leverage AI as much as possible. What is it doing to the actual application? What is it doing to the foundation? Nobody is actually playing much of a picture there. But when it comes to QA, it is your responsibility to make sure that this is completely taken care of, no matter what AI tool they are using, no matter what they are using to generate the code. At the end of the day, if the application breaks, it is every single QA's responsibility to make sure that this is working as per the actual requirement. And we have to make sure there is no gap with respect to how it is being coded versus how it is being tested. Let's go to the next slide. This is where your role actually plays a bigger picture. A QA engineer grew last year 17% when compared to only 9% of a development growth. Keep that in mind because this is one of the questions that you would probably see later on. 17% when compared to 9% on the development team. Why do you think QA grew faster in an AI automated world? Because, as I said, AI generated code creates edge case defects and it also generates a lot of false code, which is probably not the case when they were doing it manually earlier in the picture. Now, with AI, half of the code that is generated might be a stale code, you never know. It might fix something, but it might break something, it might introduce something which was not supposed to be there. How important is the regression test case? Very, very, very critical, because though it is fixing a component, it might have also introduced a lot of baggage into the code architecture itself, which when manually being coded, you can actually talk to the development team and also understand where exactly is the code being done, what is changing, what could be the impact. But if it's the AI, it is generating the entire snippet, you never know. Even the development team would probably not know why that code is being there to fix something or even to create a new feature. This is where the QA owner, QA architect comes into picture. Your role is so critical that it is more important when compared to even the development team. All right. Someone still has to catch these issues, right? Your value is shifting from being a script owner to the quality owner. As I said, you are the owner of the application and you own the entire stack. The top skill in demand: prompt engineering, Gen AI evolution, risk based test strategy, system thinking, AI governance. All of these new words, the newbies that we hear, are something that we have already inherited over time. Tell me one thing: how we have evolved over time. You being a manual tester probably moved into an automation along with the performance, along with the coding. You're more into a full stack where you know in and out of the SDLC and you've come all the way, and probably you know every single thing that others would probably not even know. So that is something that has evolved over time, and we have also made that journey into the agentic world. With that being said, uh, we are almost there. Yes, I want to go into the next slide where we do the poll, which is live, and I also want to take in your questions. Let me see if there are any other open questions before I start the live poll. Let me take some questions here. In heavily regulated industries like finance and healthcare that call for strict audit trails for every autonomous, okay, would your enterprise team safely migrate massive legacy on the page object model without a complete rewrite? Yeah, so we are trying to do a shift wherein a new feature or a new platform that is being built is going to the new framework, while slowly moving the Selenium framework is a safer approach, because you don't want to invest a lot of time moving into a new framework, because what has already built over time has proved that it is something that has worked for us, for the team, and it is also going to stay for some more time. But for the new features that we start creating, the shift towards the agentic AI and also towards the newer framework is probably a better choice that we can do, because that is where the world is evolving. And if you are not doing it now, the framework is going to get old and it's probably not going to be maintained, and you're increasing the baggage day by day. How do enterprise teams safely migrate massive legacy page object model to with a complete rewrite? What specific benchmark signal that's is ready for then the total replacement? Is autonomous QA the evolution of simply another layer? No, I still believe that the shift is here to stay, and shift is here for good, because Selenium, as we have all seen, it has been there for more than 10, 15 years now. And it has also evolved over time. We moved from Selenium to Selenium 2, and every single new feature that the Selenium is providing, we are also trying to leverage, and it is becoming bulky. So if you're trying to add AI API layer or a DB layer with the UI, the framework is already bulky. Now, if you don't maintain it over time, as I said, it's a linear framework, and a single step failure can cause the entire framework to break. With auto healing capability that AI is bringing in, I think it's probably a good move for us to start leveraging. If the development team is able to create faster, we are also able to create and ship faster and test faster, bring the project to market sooner than later. That is what the cycle time has to move across, and I think that is what we want to do as well. Selenium as being rescoped rather than obsolete. Rescoped to what specifically? What workload still makes sense on script development, adopting AI optimization? Yes, Selenium is here to stay. I'm not denying the fact that Selenium is going away. Selenium is here to stay, but eventually the shift is already moving towards Cypress or Playwright and AI native tools. As I said, there are a lot of agentic frameworks that the teams are coming up with, wherein you are able to leverage that foundation which is already there, and then using that code base, you're able to generate the test faster, and you could still continue using Selenium if that is the go-to on the team, and if that is proved for the team to continue using. That is something that is a tight call for the repurposing of what we currently have, versus if the application is not changing, if the project is not moving much, if it's just maintaining the regression suite, I would probably not move to a new framework. But it depends on the flavor that the team is going through. If the team has new projects that they are starting to work on, I would probably move into the new space rather than leveraging the same framework that we currently have for all the new features and the new enhancements that we would get out of AI. For teams making this transition, what's actually retraining or upskilling path? Has the resistance shown up more from engineers worried about being automated, leadership skeptical of seeding test authorship to AI? No, I don't think so. As I said, the last slide that I covered, QA engineers rule 17% when compared to 9% on the development team. So the numbers are speaking here. We are here to stay, and the QA role is more important when compared to anybody else. There are only two roles that are very critical. If the business or the product is not giving you the right requirement, then everything else is wrong. And at the same time, if QA is not able to catch the bugs And the end of the day, you're still here to test. Whether you use AI, whether you use Selenium, whether you manually test it, the ultimate role of a QA engineer is to own the application, to make sure that the requirement is the actual picture that is going into production. So your role is more critical, and I would definitely not lean towards AI replacing QA role. It could become easier. How you adopt using AI is what we have to evolve over time. How we are able to leverage what is available to us, and how we are able to ship faster, how we are able to move faster, and even generate the scripts is what is the critical role here. How should autonomous quality be shifted upstream into the pull request IDE terminals without slowing down their velocity? Yes, yeah, I think this is one framework that is coming up with respect to the agentic framework, more like a cloud code that is integrated, or a copilot that is integrated in the IDE. It becomes a lot easier because you select a particular page and then say, I want to create this new feature, and the existing test cases are already here. My script is already here. So it's able to base the new test based on the code that is already generated, how the application behaves. That moves the timeline much quicker. You are able to do it at least 2x or 4x times when compared to what automation engineer would do. So that is what I'm calling out, saying that we have to work and we have to go along with the framework and how the shift is moving towards agentic and AI industry. And I think it's in a way it is good with respect to how we are able to evolve over time, and how we are able to leverage the platform that has given us as of now. Senior automation engineers often spend hours debugging code infrastructure. So, how does a human tester's value shift from writing test steps to supervising and steering autonomous quality agents? Yes. Uh, to be honest, this is one project that I had given my team some time back, around March or April, if I can recall. We already have a framework that is matured enough, and how it has evolved over time with respect to framework from moving from Selenium to Cypress and to Playwright. We are now able to leverage multiple agents, one to monitor and look at the application, what is changing. It is completely agentic, and it's following a pattern wherein, if there is a change done on the dev or an NP QA regions, there is an agent watching the entire flow and making sure that if there is a CSS selector, or if there is anything that is changing over time, it is able to come back and update the script autonomously. Nobody is there to do it manually, but once that is done, there is a human in loop saying that this is the change that I saw, this is the change that I implemented. Figure out and see if this is something that you want to approve or not. So there is an agent doing all of that, and then there is a human in loop wherein someone goes in, reviews, yeah, this is making sense, you approve it. And then once that is done, the code is automatically checked in, and then the pipeline is triggered from then on. So every environment, the agent is watching with respect to how this is evolving over time, and also how the changes are taking shape, and how we are able to leverage and move with respect to AI framework much faster. How do you prevent AI from simply reproducing the weakness of a legacy QA? Yeah, I think this is something I just covered now. With respect to AI, we have seen a lot of false alarm as well, because at the end of the day, it's not a human, so it's able to understand to certain extent, but it is also trying to learn over time. So if you're asking your kid to learn and master everything day one, it's probably not going to work. But at the same time, if you give it time and train over a period of time, it is going to learn and it is going to tweak. It is also going to learn from its own mistakes, and then it is not going to make the same mistake again. So I think that is where legacy QA, being a foundational engineer, and you've seen how the platform has shifted, how we have evolved over time. And with AI now, we are just trying to leverage that foundation, that skill set that we already know, and how we are able to move quickly, and how we are able to leverage the platform in the right way. If there is a shift from script author to owner, should these owners approach their workflow, product, and other aspects they own, like product managers? Yeah, at the end of the day, you own the application. This is something that you always manage, and you will never be able to leave it. So the scripts that you have created are your own, and at the end of the day, if they break, you will have to go back and you will have to fix them. That is one of the note that I started with, where everything worked like a charm. You made sure everything was working, you connected the pipeline, you triggered it, and then you left for the day. But next day when you came, everything is broken. You don't know why it broke, what exactly happened, because the application even now it works probably the same, but there are hidden nuances that you're not able to catch. That is where you try to debug and then understand with auto healing features. I think that is where we are able to leverage the platform, and that is something that we can actually master going forward. Okay, let me think. There is one question. Sure, I think we should be able to move towards the next poll. Let me add it here. Let me start, and then let me add the poll. That way, there is a 60% limit. So in case if you're not able to do, please add the question and your answer. That way we are able to move ahead. So I'm adding a 30-minute duration. That way we can start the poll. Give me 1 second while it's running. Please go through the Bluecat poll, and then I'll give a few minutes for everyone to join, and then we can start taking the question one by one.
I think we already have a Q&A section here, so attendees can post their questions here in the Q&A box.
Yeah, I'll give another 2 minutes, and then we will start the poll. Please join the link that is provided. Yeah, so there is one question on hallucination I want to cover. Hallucination is, something where you're trying to think in one way, but that is probably horribly wrong. One such example that I can give is, as I said, there are agents that we have created where it is watching the application, and then it is trying to understand what is changing over time, and then it is trying to auto heal with respect to the changes. There was a use case where the application was not running, and then the agent was trying to do something where it was trying to monitor the changes, and the application was actually deployed in a wrong network as a whole, and the application itself was not the right one. So it is trying to it's more like a knowledge cutoff, or I would say it's now totally seeing a different application in itself. So there are possibilities that the agents can commit mistakes and understand something different. That is where the human in loop comes into picture, where there is someone who is approving every single change that the agent is noticing. And if you think that this is not something that is expected, you can always go back and say, no, this is not an expected outcome, and we don't need to take care of it. Think we can probably start. There are few. Yeah, go ahead with the questions, and then we'll see who is getting the answers right. I will watch for the Q&A, and then I will come back to this tab and see how we are doing on the poll. But go ahead with answering the questions. Mm, Is there a threshold or confidence score behind self-healing actions where low confidence heals the route to human and high confidence once proceed automatically? Yeah, I think it's up to the team. If the application is matured, if the agent has matured, and if you have not seen anything with respect to human approving everything, we can tweak the agent. We can always set up the threshold to say, if this is the threshold, then if your confidence is very high that this is the change and it should work, then you don't have to wait for the human in loop. And this is going to evolve over time. Eventually, when you set up the framework and when you set up the agent, initially it might be very low. So I would say have the human in loop as your primary point of contact to leverage and answer anything that they have. And then eventually, once you start approving and the application evolves over time, the agent understands everything. I think the threshold can be increased. That way, if the confidence is above par, then it can automatically approve those changes, and it can commit those updates to your scripts. That way, or maybe even in NPE, you could say update the scripts and then run it in NPE. And if everything is working, you could probably have one more agent to move the scripts from one to the other. It is all how you design with respect to how we want to leverage and how quickly you want to move, not at the cost of something breaking drastically. So I would say go slow, and once you are matured enough to understand and make sure that it's doing good, then you could probably go much faster and much quicker. Salman, I think there is one question on KNAI with respect to how we are able to leverage. You want to cover that question?
Yeah, so Athresh, we can pick the Q&A at the end of the session.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the poll. I think we are able to see who is doing good. Yeah, there is a very good competition. I think I'll go through the questions one by one and we will talk
Sure.
about it. But I also want to give it to the team. If you have not started, please go through the poll, join the session, and then start answering the questions. Sumant is leading with 160. Sharath is not far behind. Aditi is catching up. I think we are doing good. Yeah, I think it's fun. Let me see if there is anything else. Is chaos engineering or a pen testing a good subset of risk-based testing? If you ask me, cyber security or penetration testing, security testing, or even in nutshell, security aspect on the AI would be the last thing that an AI can take over. Those aspects are extremely critical, because pen testing, when you say, it is penetrating through your application. It could be your URL, it could be how you handle the DB, how you handle the actions. So it is extremely important that we make sure that the pen testing aspect is covered as much as possible with respect to someone who is a human, rather than giving completely that ownership to AI. But at the same time, I think that is also moving towards being leveraging AI and how we are able to master with respect to the platform itself. But I think that is probably a little behind when compared to all other aspects of pen test, the performance testing, functional testing, regression testing, sanity testing. All of these aspects, it's probably a lot easier, and not too critical. When I say the severity and the priority of the defect that is caught is still very high, but the application being targeted, or even being vulnerable, that is still not there. So uh, within our teams, we are trying to cope up with how we are able to leverage performance testing with AI, and security testing. We are there, but we are not there. We are not completely there. I think the framework has to evolve, and then it also has to mature enough that it is completely the best use case that we can adopt. As of now, I would still think that penetration testing, we are probably there 20-30%, not more than that. Okay, Sumant is leading with 630, Aditi is 450, catching up. If you have not joined yet, please join the poll. Start answering the question. I will go question one by one. Yeah, let me add the link here again in case if you have not joined yet. You should have that handy.
Yeah, so the booklet link is the pinned in the chat box, Athresh.
Yeah. Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I can go through the questions on the booklet. That way I can talk about. Give me a minute. I'm just trying to open my question. That way I can go through them. The first question is, what percentage of test case failures trace back to the locator and timing issue combined? We've also seen this, and then we went through a few examples. I also tried to cover this as part of the overall chat. So, who all got the answers right? Let's see. Yeah, the answer is 58%. If you have got 58, then you are correct. Up to what percentage of a typical QA team's budget goes into maintaining a Flaky, locators, and timing issue? This is also something that I covered. And as I said, there is a budget that you need to allocate to maintain your test cases. With the agentic AI and how we are evolving, as I explained, you can have and leverage agents who can watch the application, monitor what is changing, and then it can eventually start updating your scripts. That way everything is covered, and it can evolve over time. So when compared to percentage, we had 10, 20, 40, 60, and if you answered 40, you're right. Let's go to the next question. It's a true or false. Element not interactable exception are almost always caused by genuinely broken button. What do you think? If you answered true, you're wrong. If you answered false, you're right. Let me switch to. Okay, Sumant is leading, and Aditi is not far behind. Yeah, as you start playing, you can take the credits from the other team member, and then you can still win it. So go ahead. Let's see. Coming back to the next question. What percentage of organizations still maintain legacy Selenium suites? If you had paid attention to my slide, I did cover this. We have options 35, 50, 65, 90. And if you answered 65, you're right. So this is still going to continue. As I said, your Selenium scripts are the baseline, and that is the foundation. You need to maintain the baseline and the framework while you are adopting and while you are moving to the newer framework, new applications, new projects can go on the latest stack while you can maintain your baseline still on Selenium. But I think the trend is also kind of decreasing, where as people move to the latest stacks, latest framework, eventually Selenium is going to time out, and you don't have to maintain your baseline test. The new framework will become your framework. How much did Playwright adoption grow year over year? This is also something that I had covered. Options 45, 110, 235, 500. And if you answer 235, you're right. So Playwright is the go-to tool in 2025, 2026. This is the number one stack that most teams are building your test cases on. Why does Playwright handle waiting more natively than Selenium? Because Selenium, is it bulky? Is it what is the reason? Because it uses browser cache, it talks directly to browser WebSocket connection, it requires no internet connection, it runs headless. If you answered it talks directly to the browser WebSocket connection, you are right. That is why it is lightweighted and it is able to handle much better when compared to Selenium. We have a true or false. Cucumbers given when then syntax was designed to let AI agents write tests automatically. We had Cucumber when AI was not even there. So this is false. What's the name of the generative AI test agent referenced in this session that authors test from plain English prompts? Test GPT, 𝐀𝐭𝐻, Autobot, Smart Heal. We all know TestMu has the best 𝐀𝐭𝐻. So if you answered 𝐀𝐭𝐻, then you got it right. Okay, Sumant is still leading. We have Sharath second, Aditi third, not too far behind, catching up. I still see many are joining. Please join if you have not yet. Start playing. We want to really honor the final winner. We want to make sure that you're all taking the test, and this is a fun and interactive session on how we are able to leverage and understand the system better way. Okay, let's go to the next question. In the self-healing breakdown, what percentage of failures does timing healing resolve? 8%, 28%, 30%, 58%. If you answered 30%, you're right. This is a very tricky aspect where timing healing, you try to put a hard sleep. Sometimes it might work, it might not work, but the timing failures are very, very critical. And when you're running on your local when compared to a platform, that is the biggest difference, because the application might behave much slower than expected. Sometimes it might load, sometimes it might not load, so your timing aspect has to be top notch. Which failure type does self-healing resolve the least often? Selector healing, timing healing, runtime error healing, network healing. What do you think so? If you selected runtime healing, you are right. Runtime error healing is the failure type that is resolved least often. Next question: when a self-healing engine can't find the original locator, which of these does it check first? The page favicon, area accessibility, labels, server's IP address, the user's browser history. If you have answered area accessibility labels, you're right. Let's go on the board and see how we are doing.
Sorry to interrupt, Athresh. Can you also please share your screen from where you answered the question from the toolkit?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, I think most of you have already wrapped up the test. I'm going on the 11th, and the next question is element not interactable exception, element not clickable. This is a failure caused by broken heart, XPath, a dynamic DOM re-render, and unhandled async time delay. So if you have answered the timing delay, then you are right. Over the past 2 years, how much did QA engineers role grow? This is also something that we covered when compared to software developer role. If you think QA was able to grow faster and better when compared to development team, you're right. So QA grew 17, developers grew 9, you're right. If you started a brand new automation project tomorrow, which framework would you choose? I actually want to understand how we are doing here. I will open the poll. I want to hear there is no wrong answer, there is no right answer here because I want to understand what is the trend. If you are still thinking Selenium, if you are still thinking Cypress, if you're thinking Playwright, or if you're now going towards Agentic AI native platform, 𝐀𝐭𝐤. So I want to understand from the team. So I'll wait for the poll to end. And the last question: what is the number one blocker to adopting AI-driven QA on your team? This is again, there is no right or wrong answer here. I want to understand with respect to moving across the AI shift. Is it the budget? Is it the trust? Is it the tech debt? Is it the skill? What exactly is the gap? This is the last two question. I want to hear it on the poll and understand if there is anything that the team wants to know and understand. But with respect to the blocker itself, if budget is the blocker, I would say go talk to the management, your team, your manager, understand and explain them, what the AI is going to bring in, what the self-healing system is going to bring in, what are the different aspects that you can leverage and build upon. If you think that you're not transformed, you're still on a legacy mainframe, or if there is a platform that is still dependent and it's old, that is something that you cannot probably avoid. You will have to build the foundation very, very strong. Because without building the foundation, without building a good basement, you cannot move to the top up. You will always have to build your core very strong. So that is something that you have to start building. Your regression test cases, your framework has to be very, very strong. Only then you can leverage cooler features like AI, your platform agnostic. You can run it on cloud browsers. All of that will come only with your foundation set strong. If you think that skill is the gap or the quality is the gap, I think we should all evolve over time. We have to take the trainings, we have to understand how the system is evolving. And I've seen a lot of QA engineers, a lot of QA automation engineers, manual testers have moved into AI, and they have made a career out of it. The shift is not going to be easy, and at the same time the shift is not going to be too difficult as well. If you are able to cope up and give the time with respect to how much you can learn over time, you should be able to move the ladder. and you should be able to understand the skill. And you can start slow. Day one you will not be able to know and understand everything, but once you start the foundation, I think it should be able to cope up, and you should be able to leverage soon enough. Give it 6 months and go slow, go platform by platform. What TestMu is able to give, what KNAI is able to give, what are the different agentic frameworks that you are able to adopt from the market, how Playwright can be adopted, what are the auto healing features that you can evolve over time. I think all of this, if you are able to do, then it would probably make your life much better and easier. Okay, we're almost there. I want to know, let me share this tab. So we have the top 10 here. Oh, okay. We have a new one on the leading board. We have Deba with 298K. That's amazing. And Sumant with 211K. You're not far behind, Sumant. You should be able to, move back up. Aditi with 111K. Sharath with 330K. DB with 4,000. I think you're doing really great. If you have gone through the presentation and if you have paid attention to the numbers and the format in which we were going through, I think you did really great. And I'm 100% sure that when you go back, you should be able to adopt at least one single thing with respect to how you can leverage the platform and what the teams are moving towards. The shift is already here. Believe it or not, you like it or not, the shift is here. How we evolve over time is all it matters. We have another 7 minutes to go. We will come back to it. I want to go back to the question and see if there is anything else that is okay. Latest KNAI threshold confidence. We did that. What happens when an AI agent misunderstands a legacy business rule? Yeah, very good question. I think if you have written the test case as detailed as possible, I think the agent is able to understand it correctly. If, for example, the feature is not implemented correctly, or if the feature has changed drastically, that is when you need to fine tune and train the model, because there is always there where the knowledge cutoff is going to come and it's going to bite very, very big. Because if the knowledge cutoff aspect is not handled, then the AI is always going to hallucinate and think that this is something that is expected, right? So you have to evolve the framework and you have to add the new features on top of your existing baseline, and you have to keep it current all the time. With rag and grounding, this can be handled, where the agent that I was explaining earlier, it's more like a live rag where it is trying to monitor the application and it's trying to understand the application over time. And we have also built something called as a corpus repository, where we feed in the documents, we feed in the requirements, we feed in Jira, and we are training the agent to also understand from the business and requirement perspective what is evolving, what is changing. So agent is already able to understand that this has something changed, this is something new, and I need to adopt as well. And on top of that, if the agent is not able to understand something, then the existing team can always write a new script or enhance the new script with respect to how it can behave, and then go from there. So I hope that I answered your question. Mm, threshold confidence threshold, I think I answered. Self-healing failure mode is something incorrectly real back ships trace back to the healing decision versus human author test. Yeah. See, when it comes to self-healing, there are obviously some cases where there are false positive expected. Um, but in case if the application is failing, that is when the system is going to start looking at what could possibly change. Has the DOM changed? Has the structure changed? Has something moved? With was previously working. So all of these are recorded over time, and there are examples where we have seen false positive as well. It's not that it is 100% accurate, but with human in loop and with the live monitoring of your actual application, it can probably go wrong, but it cannot horribly go wrong, because if you don't do all of this with your normal automation, with your manual testing, it can get very tedious, it can get cumbersome as well. So uh, with respect to how the new features scope up, you should be able to leverage the platform in such a way that it can make a good use case. And in case where there are false positive, you can obviously correct, and you can make sure that the platform is trained enough to understand next time around it should be able to cope up with those adaptations as well. How do you prevent AI from simply reproducing the weakness of a legacy QA? Yeah, I think with respect to legacy QA, a classic example is the BDD framework. Right? We explained how the BDD, behavior-driven development framework, works. You start collaborating with the product owner, with the development team, the business owner, uh, whole nine yards. So they all come together. They start writing the actual requirement in a feature file format, which is the given when then. It is evolved over time, and once that is ready, you add the step definition. Once the step definition is added, then you start writing the page object model. The page object model is ready. Now you glue all of them together with the runner file, and that runner file is executed locally. Everything works, and then you make sure that that is taken into the pipeline stage. So this is all linear, right? With respect to the linear fashion, you're able to go at certain pace, and you're also able to reproduce at certain stage. There are pros and cons with the normal flow when compared to the AI flow or the agentic workflow. How we are able to reproduce an issue. If something is broken, the legacy framework or a normal QA framework would go linear, and then the pipeline would identify that this failed. You capture the screenshot, you capture the video, you go through the flow, and you say that okay, this is a true bug, or this is something that has caused by the application where an ID changed, a class name changed. You make sure that is updated, and then you rerun the failed test case. It might work. If it is a bug, you create a ticket. That is the normal workflow. Now, when it comes to the agentic workflow or the auto healing workflow, the pipeline itself is able to identify what can or what could have gone wrong. Right? If the ID or if the page is not behaving the same way, it can identify and tell you whether this is something with the application itself that has changed, or if the structure has changed, and I need to patch that particular with the auto healing capability. That is where the framework comes into picture. And I think it's a very good value add to the team, because you're half of the work where you go back and you fix something that is broken by the code. It's not a true bug. It's not a true bug because the application is working correctly, but your test case is still broken, your test suite is broken. You have to go back to that chain and then make sure that that is updated, and then you come back to the testing aspect of the application. So that whole cycle is kind of not required with the new framework, wherein you're just ensuring that the application is working correctly, and if the application is not behaving correctly, then you know that this is based on feature that is now wrong, and that is the defect. Okay. All right. Here we have the winners. We have Sharath third, we have Sumant at second place, and Aditi. Congratulations, Aditi, Sumant, and Sharath. You are the winners. I'm very happy that you were able to understand and adopt. While the rest of you also made sure that you took the test and you executed very well. I think the way this whole thing works, we just have the three winners. So congratulations to everybody who took the test, and to the three winners, Aditi, Sumant, and Sharath. Thank you. I hope I was able to answer all the questions that you had. In case if there is anything else that is left out, I will switch back to my slideshow. And yeah, so I run Instagram platform which is called as TechWag. I make AI videos and I make technology videos, and I make sure that anybody without the tech background is also able to understand and leverage the system. So my email ID, my Instagram, and my LinkedIn are here. So in case if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And
Athresh, can you please share your screen once?
uh, okay, I think the screen share dropped. Let me share it again. Yeah, sorry. So this is my email ID, my Instagram, and my LinkedIn. Feel free to ping me, email me, and as I said, I have a platform on Instagram where I make AI videos and technology videos for non-tech, even students, teachers, parents, and connect with me on LinkedIn in case if you have any questions. I manage both the QA team and the development team, so I know the pain points. I started as a QA engineer, moving into automation, moving into development, and then I manage both development and QA as of now. So I since I come from that background, I know the pain points. How the industry is moving, uh, what aspect we are looking in a QA engineer, all that aspect. So in case if you have any questions, or if you want to connect with me on anything else, feel free to connect with me on these forums. Salman, over to you. I think
Yes,
I covered pretty much all the Q&A questions also. Uh,
right.
in case if you have
Thank you,
anything.
Athresh. Yeah, thank you so much for this insightful session. So we have covered a lot of ground, and I'm sure there's plenty for everyone to take away from this discussion. So you have already answered most of the question. Also, there was one question from Dev Datta regarding KNAI.
Yeah.
So when it comes to autonomous quality assurance, so KNAI basically is a generative AI testing agent that lets you author tests using natural language commands, right? So with KNAI, you can take your autonomous QA game ahead with using different features like natural language test creation, exporting your tests in different languages, and using there's also called one feature called self healing that lets you automatically adapts your test steps and locators when there is a UI change. So together, these features help you automate more of the QA lifecycle and move towards the autonomous QA. So I'm dropping the link in the chat box. Maybe Dave, you can try it out.
Yeah. Salman, I'll share the slide deck with you and your team in case if anybody has a question, they can feel free to connect with me. They can use the slides for their
Sure,
presentation as well.
sure, Trish. And thank you once again. And also, we have got some really interesting sessions coming up. So stay tuned. And if you found something useful today from this session, so please don't forget to share your takeaways on LinkedIn and X. Thanks, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks.